Hello viewers, the contribution of Wright brothers to the transport moved man into a new dimension of air transport in the year 1903, and within 7 years of this maiden flight, technologically advanced than the first airplane flew the skies of India. After completing 100 years in aviation, the Indian air transport has grown to an unprecedented scale. Dear viewers, I welcome you to this episode on air transport in India. For better understanding of the topic, this episode is divided into 5 parts: history of air transport in India, present state of Indian air transport, government initiatives, important organizations under Ministry of Civil Aviation, future of Indian air transport. Let us know about the history of air transport in India. Just 7 years after the maiden flight of Wright brothers, Indian skies have witnessed the airplanes which were brought to India by a group of aviators and mechanics from Belgium and England. The first flight in India was in Allahabad on December 10, 1910. The first commercial flight was made from Allahabad to Naini on 18 February 1911, covering a distance of 10 kilometers and carrying 6,500 mails, is considered to the world's first airmail service and beginning of civil air transport in India. In December 1912, first domestic air route between Delhi and Karachi was opened by Indian State Air Services in collaboration with Imperial Airways UK. In the year 1915, Tata Sons Limited, the first Indian airline, started regular airmail service between Karachi and Madras, now Chennai, without any support from the government. In the year 1924, construction of civil airports began in Kolkata, Allahabad and Bombay, and in the year 1927, Department of Civil Aviation was set up to look after the matters relating to the civil aviation in India. In 1934, the Indian Aircraft Act and the Aircraft Rules in 1937 were formulated to regulate the Indian aviation sector, and in 1940, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited was set up in Bangalore in association with the Mysore government, and in July 1941, Indian made aircraft took the first test flight. In 1946, Tata Airlines changed their name to Air India, and at the time of independence in 1947, there were about 9 airlines operating in India. India's first international air service began in the year 1948 with a weekly flight between Bombay and London. In the year 1953, the first civil helicopter services were introduced in the country. The International Airports Authority of India (IAAI) was constituted in 1972. In the year 1986, the National Airports Authority was constituted, followed by the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, which was established in 1987. A number of airline companies started operating in early 90s, starting with Sahara Airlines in 1991, Jet Airways in 1993, and East West Airlines and a host of other companies in 1994. On April 1, 1995, Airport Authority of India was reconstituted by merging the International Airport Authority of India and National Airports Authority. A policy on airport infrastructure was developed, and during the first decade of the 21st century, many low-cost carriers like GoAir, SpiceJet, Indigo and full-service carriers such as Kingfisher Airlines commenced their operations. Now, the air transport activities are governed by the Ministry of Civil Aviation, which is responsible for formulation of national policies and programs for the development and regulation of the air transport sector in the country. The ministry also exercises control over the Director General of Civil Aviation DGCA, Bureau of Civil Aviation Security in India, Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Udan Academy, National Aviation Company of India Limited, Airports Authority of India, Pawan Hans Helicopters Limited. Present state of Indian air transport. At present, India is the 9th largest aviation market in the world with over 90 operational airports, 1,180 aircrafts, 303 helicopters, 11 operational scheduled airlines and 133 non-scheduled operators. It is envisaged that by the year 2020, India will be among top 3 civil aviation markets in the world. Air transportation in India has contributed to about 0.5% of the country's GDP. As a country's per capita GDP grows, so does its residents' desire and ability to afford travel, and this desire in turn fuels the demand for aircraft. It is now well acknowledged that economies outside North America and Europe are expected to lead the world in GDP growth. The aircraft manufacturing giant Airbus and Boeing have both raised their 20-year outlook on India owing to the high appetite for growth but low market penetration of airline services. According to Boeing's estimates, Indian carriers will buy 1,600 aircrafts worth $205 billion between 2014 and 2032 compared to its previous same period projection of 1,450 planes valued at $175 billion. Boeing's counterpart Airbus has also raised its 2014-2032 outlook to 1,290 aircrafts valued at $190 billion from 1,045 planes at $145 billion. The aircraft manufacturing duo has predicted that a significant part of the order will constitute single-aisled narrow-bodied aircraft like Airbus A320 or Boeing 737s. Government initiatives. By 1995, several private airlines had ventured into the aviation business and accounted for more than 10% of the domestic air traffic. Today, Indian aviation industry is dominated by private airlines, and these include low-cost carriers who have made air travel affordable. The government nationalized 9 airline companies. These government-owned airlines dominated Indian aviation industry till the mid-1990s. In April 1990, the government adopted open sky policy and allowed the operators to operate flights from any airport both on a charter and a non-charter basis and to decide their own flight schedules, cargo and passenger fares. As part of its open sky policy in 1994, the Indian government ended the monopoly of Indian Airlines and Air India in the air transport services. Indian Ministry of Civil Aviation has also revised the bilateral air traffic entitlements with Dubai in February 2014, permitting them a 20% increase in seats to India, about 11,000 seats approximately, in 3 phases till the midsummer of 2015. Dubai has agreed to grant change of gauge facility for Indian carriers at the existing airports. The ministry has also signed a memorandum of understanding with Airport Authority of India for financial year 2014-15, which lists targets to be achieved by Airports Authority of India on some key performance areas during the fiscal. The main features of the MOU include parameters such as risk management, implementation of enterprise resource planning known as ERP tools, and development of disaster management plans. Delhi Airport will soon become a zero diversionary airport. The committee set up by the DGCA to look into the matter has presented its report with 27 recommendations. In March 2012, Government of India lifted the freeze on overseas expansion of private airlines. After the removal of freeze on international permissions, domestic private airlines, Jet Airways, SpiceJet and Indigo are aggressively planning to scale up their international operations. In the year 2014, the number of foreign tourist arrivals in India has reached 7.68 millions with an annual growth rate of 10.2% as compared to 2013. The mode of transport for foreign tourist arrivals were by air 86%, land 13.5% and sea 0.5%. About 70.4% of the total foreign tourist arrivals are witnessed at the ports of Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Bengaluru, Hyderabad and Kolkata. Indian airports have received the tourists from almost all the countries of the world. USA has the major share of foreign tourist arrivals in India with around 10 lakhs, followed by Bangladesh at 9.4 lakhs, UK at 8.2 lakhs, Sri Lanka at 3 lakhs, Russian Federation at 2.5 lakhs and so on by year in the year 2014. 100% foreign direct investment. Under the civil aviation sector's investment policy, 100% foreign direct investment is permissible for existing airports with government approval required for FDI beyond 74%. Automatic route, 100% FDI under the automatic route is permissible for greenfield airports. 49% FDI is permissible in domestic scheduled passenger airlines, 100% FDI for non-resident Indians under the automatic route, 74% FDI allowed for non-scheduled air transport services under automatic route with government approval required for FDI beyond 49% and up to 74%. 100% FDI under the automatic route is permissible for helicopter services, seaplane services requiring DGCA approval. Important organizations under Ministry of Civil Aviation. Some of the important organizations coming under the Ministry of Civil Aviation, Government of India to promote and regulate air transport in India are discussed below. Number 1, Directorate General of Civil Aviation known as DGCA. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation is the regulatory body of civil aviation in India. DGCA is responsible for regulation of air transport services in India and for enforcement of civil air regulations, air safety and airworthiness standards. DGCA is also responsible for coordinating with the International Civil Aviation Organization ICAO. Private operators were allowed to provide air transport services. However, no foreign airline could directly or indirectly hold equity in a domestic airline company. Some of the functions of DGCA are registration of all civil aircrafts in India, formulation and certification of standards of airworthiness for civil aircraft registered in India, licensing of pilots, licensing aircraft maintenance engineers and flight engineers and conducting examinations and checks for the purposes, licensing of air traffic controllers, certification of aerodromes and civil navigation and surveillance and air traffic management facilities, granting of air operator certificates to Indian carriers and regulations of the air transport services operating to, from, within, over India by Indian and foreign operators, including clearance of scheduled and non-scheduled flights of such operators, conducting investigation into accidents, incidents and taking accident prevention measures, including formulation of implementation of safety aviation management programs, carrying out amendments to the Aircraft Act, the aircraft rules and the civil aviation requirements for complying with the amendments of ICAO annexes. Coordination at national level for flexi use of airspace by civil and military air traffic agencies and interaction with ICAO for provision of more air routes for civil use through Indian airspace. Keeping a check on aircraft noise and engine emissions in accordance with ICAO Annex 16 and collaborating with the environmental authorities in this matter if required. Promoting indigenous design and manufacture of aircraft and aircraft components by acting as a catalytic agent. Approving training programs of operators for carriage of dangerous goods, issuing authorizations for carriage of dangerous goods, etc. The second organization is the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security. The Bureau of Civil Aviation Security was initially set up as a unit in the DGCA and later was reorganized into an independent department under the Ministry of Civil Aviation on 1st April 1987. The main responsibilities of Bureau of Civil Aviation Security include laying down standards and measures with respect to security of civil flights at international and domestic airports in India. The Bureau of Civil Aviation Security headquarters is located at New Delhi, got 4 regional offices located at international airports, that is Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata and Chennai. It is responsible for laying down aviation security standards in accordance with Chicago Convention of ICAO for airport operators, airline operators and others, monitoring the implementation of security rules and regulations and carrying out survey and security needs. Ensure that the persons implementing security controls are appropriately trained and possess all competencies required to perform their duties. Planning and coordination of aviation security matters, surprise or dummy checks to test professional efficiency and alertness of security staff, mock exercise to test efficacy of contingency plans and operational preparedness of the various agencies. Airports Authority of India. The Airports Authority of India was formed on 1st April 1995 with a view to accelerate the integrated development, expansion and modernization of the operational, terminal and cargo facilities at the airports in the country, conforming to international standards. The main functions of the Airport Authority of India are designing, developing, operating and maintenance of international and domestic airports and civil enclaves, control and management of the Indian airspace extending beyond the territorial limits of the country as accepted by ICAO, construction, modification and management of passenger terminals, development and management of cargo terminals at international and domestic airports, provision of passenger facilities and information system at the passenger terminals at airports, expansion and strengthening of operation area like runways, aprons, taxiways, etc., provision of visual aids, provision of communication and navigation aids. Pawan Hans Helicopters Limited. Pawan Hans Helicopters Limited is one of the leading helicopter companies in India and is known for its reliable helicopter operations. The main objective of the company is to provide helicopter support services to the oil sector for its offshore exploration operations, services in the remote and hilly areas as well as charter services for promotion of travel and tourism. The registered office of the company is located at New Delhi and its regional offices are at Mumbai and New Delhi. Pawan Hans has played a vital role in the growth story of the helicopter industry in India. Commission of Railway Safety. Though this commission is related to railways, the Commission of Railway Safety, working under the administration of Ministry of Civil Aviation of the Government of India, deals with matters pertaining to safety of the rail travel and train operations and is charged with certain statutory functions as laid down in the Railways Act of 1989, which are of an inspectorial, investigatory and advisory nature. The Commission functions according to certain rules like statutory investigation into accident, rules framed under the Railways Act and executive instructions issued from time to time. The most important duties of the Commission is to ensure that any new railway line to be opened for passenger traffic should conform to the standards and specifications prescribed by the Ministry of Railways and the new line is safe in all respects for carrying of passenger traffic. This is also applicable to other works such as gauge conversion, doubling of lines and electrification of existing lines. Commission also conducts statutory inquiry into serious train accidents occurring on the Indian railways and makes recommendation for improving safety on the railways in India. Future of Indian air transport. By the end of this decade, that is by 2020, air traffic in India is projected to grow 3 times from today's level, making it the third largest market in the world behind the US and China. According to the CAPA India 2011-12 Aviation Industry Outlook, the main drivers for the growth of Indian civil aviation sector are liberalization and economic reforms undertaken by the government, fast expansion of industries as a consequence of economic reforms, GDP growth in India, increase in inbound and outbound tourists, emergence of low cost carriers, the organized retail boom that would require timely delivery of goods, thus contributing to the growth of air cargo segment, preference of private jets and air charter services by corporates, modernization and setting up of new airports across the country, city side development of non-metro airports, providing international airport status to major Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities, permission to private operators to operate on international sectors, encouraging private investments in airlines and airport infrastructure, facilitative foreign direct investment norms, liberal bilateral service agreements and emphasis on development through public-private partnership mode, etc., building infrastructure to support 280 million customers by the end of the year 2020 as per the Vision 2020 announced by the Ministry of Civil Aviation. Immense growth potential exists in Tier 2 and Tier 3 markets. To sum up, Indian air transport sector is one of the fastest growing sectors in the world. The air transport in India has grown to an unprecedented scale and ranked 9th largest aviation market in the world. The mode of transport opted by the foreign tourists who have visited India in 2014 was about 86% of the entire foreign tourist arrival through various modes. It is projected that by 2020, India will be the third largest civil aviation market in the world. The Ministry of Civil Aviation is the apex governing body with respect to air transport in India. It exercises control over the Director General of Civil Aviation, Bureau of Civil Aviation Security in India, Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Udan Academy, National Aviation Company of India Limited, Airports Authority of India, Pawan Hans Helicopters Limited. government has taken several initiatives to promote the air transport in the country. Several relaxations were made in the rules and regulations relating to the private operators and investors, and thereby facilitating the growth of Indian aviation market.